Welcome to In the Studio. I'm Jan Linder-Koda from Angel Diva Music. Each week we have a different artist, someone who's really interesting, and this week is Ethan Gold. Hi.
Hi, Jan.
How are you?
I'm well.
Thank you for coming out on such a cold day.
Yeah, the dogs were complaining a lot to come out in the snow today, but
Really?
yeah.
But you left them there anyway?
Well, they carried me here over the step.
They like being out in the cold.
They do, but it was, negative 40, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you put them in the heated
I
trailer.
I did, and I put them to sleep, as you can see.
You and I have known each other, what, about a year or so?
Something.
And we've been working together.
Mhm.
Can you tell me about
Talk about that.
what's that been like for you?
It's been really nice, Jan. You have a unique blend of being a singing coach and a therapist and and somebody who sees where performers, have an emotional story to tell as well as, technical things to work out, and that performing is another art form and kind of combines. I've been a songwriter and I've done stuff in studios for years, and for me, performing is you bring those things together, bringing the heart, the actual thing that you're trying to tell, and making it translate into a broader experience, and so it's been fun.
Oh, thank you.
And I started doing this video project, which so I'm videoing myself. Starting to do a bunch of songs, videotaping myself, performing in my little bedroom closet, and performing songs live, and so well, you know this. I'm telling you something you know.
God, there's so much to talk about with you. Let me go back, though, a little bit. I really am curious about when you first knew that you wanted to be a musician.
Well, I always was a musician, I think, is sort of how I see it. There wasn't really a transition. It was like I was always, as soon as I heard music. Like when you were
little, how did you know?
Well, I just, got to a piano and started hitting it, and I think that was, it always felt like true to me. So it wasn't like I had to invent it. It was always true to me.
Did you have a piano in the house?
There was a piano in the house. It was an old upright in the house, and it was largely ignored.
No one else played piano?
I think my mother would play a classical piece every now and again that she learned.
Classical, she could play then.
She got, like a lot of people, she got lessons as a girl, which I did not.
Probably because she had them.
Maybe, yeah. We also, I don't know, there were other things going on there, so giving us piano lessons maybe wasn't the priority in the house. But anyway, so I would play, and it was like hitting the piano. But, I remember writing melodies and stuff when I was very little, and wrote some classical-ish, sort of what sounded like classical music to me on the piano. Before getting lessons, and just kept doing that. Kept doing that. So
you just kept doing it.
Yeah.
Well, did you write melodies when you were a kid, or like?
Yeah.
Who did you listen to?
Bob Marley, Igor Stravinsky. I mean, those
really?
That was what was playing I remember. I guess Bob Dylan was playing in the house. The things that I guess baby boomer parents listened to, Bob Dylan and the Beatles, and in our case Bob Marley and Santana. Growing up in San Francisco, there was that kind of freedom rock element going on.
Did you go to see a lot of live shows?
Yes. As a kid, I was brought to a lot of concerts, so my ears were getting probably blasted at a very.
So Stravinsky, though.
Well, I didn't go to any Stravinsky. I didn't go to any Stravinsky concerts, but I do remember we had one of the classical records that we had was "The Rite of Spring," which I played obsessively.
I like that piece.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I think it actually, when I started writing songs as opposed to kind of classical, I mean, again, I didn't get classical lessons, so it was whatever. It was my version of it.
Did you play all by ear, sort of?
Yeah, later, when I was a teenager, I had a guy who sort of gave me some lessons. It was more like teaching me kind of what chords were, and that sort of helped me with songwriting, so I could kind of understand, song structure and chords and how, melody would sit on chords.
So this was I didn't know that was your first instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what was the next one? Because you play a lot of instruments.
I play not that many. I mean, there are people who play. I play the rock instruments, piano and synthesizer. Actually, really, I was like a synth kid, like little
like
Casios.
In the 80s.
Yeah, little Casios, and then I got into metal because I was really angry. So I wanted to, then I got into like thrash metal and started playing, basically.
Did you have a guitar?
No, but I had friends. We were all running a little wild, and there were people who had, I had some friends who had instruments like at their house, and we would go over there and jam. And I actually remember there was a triumphant moment playing Exodus, not the Bob Marley song, but the metal band, going over to this somebody's house and like breaking into a house with a bunch of instruments.
Just to play?
And all of us playing the same metal riff. Like, it was like seven kids playing this riff in a circle with one drummer, and it was like, and then we got, the cops were called.
Whose house was this?
It was, I think, the neighbor of this girl we knew. It was one of those, it was a great, anyway.
Well, if you're breaking into a house, the nice thing is you're just playing instruments.
We must have they must have had the keys. I think we came in through the window, but somehow it was like, we're gonna have a party in here. We just set up like it was fairly satanic, I suppose, in a playful way. We're in a circle, and the riff was very heavy. And
so
I don't know why I'm mentioning that.
Did you do other jobs, or did you go straight through, I'm playing music, that's it?
Well, I had, summer jobs and stuff like that. When I got out of school, I started recording bands with a really crappy studio, and I still think back with horror that I was charging money for some of the awful recordings I was doing. But I did some good recordings as well, and then realized also that was a losing game, trying to run, a basement studio basically, and I wasn't that interested in gear. I had like a couple pieces of gear and used them. And
so what made you come down to LA?
It was a place I never dreamed of being. I think I was getting away from the past and getting away from even any ideas I had of the future. So I'd never, growing up, LA wasn't even on my radar. And I think I was at a point that I needed to be somewhere where I wasn't even at a place that I'd even dreamed of being. So it was just totally out of the blue kind of idea, and came down and tried being here for a month, and ended up writing a bunch of songs. So I said, okay, well, this is good for my creativity. There's a lot of open space here. Somehow in the air, there's a lot of, I don't know, for whatever reason, I wrote a lot when I visited.
Did you come down by yourself?
Yeah. My brother was living here at the time, but as soon as I declared I was going to stay, he left. I don't think it was deliberate. But,
it was just a
it was just
coincidence,
the way the cookie. There may have been some reason. I think we were probably not ready to be.
So you have a brother that plays too.
He's a film guy, film writer, maker, filmmaker. So, but he does play some music as well. We sometimes do stuff together.
Have you played in a lot of bands?
I've played in a few bands.
Like metal or rock? Or?
I played in rock.
Yeah?
Rock. I've never really played in a metal band. That was like a high school.
It was an angry point.
I think a lot of dudes in high school, it's like you have your metal phase, and mine was a thrash metal phase. So
if you have any ears left.
We played faster.
When you're done.
Yeah.
I remember being in a studio producing someone, and in the very next studio was Machine Head. Do you know that band?
They're kind of industrial.
Oh, it's... All I can tell you is you get a headache by the first minute that they play.
Yeah.
But they're the nicest guys.
Yeah.
You know, when you sit down and eat lunch with them, they were terrific. But it was difficult. It was difficult. Oh, I hope they're not listening to this interview. But
oh, I'm sure they.
No, but
I'm sure they're they're
you
following
think so?
you all the they're
with Facebook these days, you never know.
Yeah.
You're just getting ready to release your album, and this is the album. What's going on with this?
I'm releasing it, which I'm learning what that means.
What does that mean to you?
It's going to be available for people to listen to and to buy if they're, old school like that and actually buy music, which I hope they are. We all need it. I guess the birth happens, but I'm going to take the album, raise the album, and
are you
going
to tour?
Yes, I will be touring. I'm putting out a bunch of videos. I have videos for 6 of the songs, and I have 3 more treatments that I'm...
And I've seen them, and every one of them is completely different, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's not like they can go, oh, this is an Ethan Gold video.
Well, I don't know why. I guess I've been in Los Angeles, and I know a lot of filmmakers, and I've done a lot of favors for people, so I've been calling in my favors and also expressing my own. I've directed some of them, and the visual aspect is really important to me. The album being out just is kind of the first step.
Who's your team?
I'm doing quite a bit of it myself, which has been challenging. I also have an online marketing company called Planetary, and they're going to be pushing it to radio and stuff like that as well. It's a new era, for promotion.
Well, you're the one that told me about all these online blogs and magazines, and
yes,
you know so much about this, things that I had never even thought of.
Right. Well, yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. Writers are often people who are writing, and they also have something else that they do creatively. So it's a very particular audience, and the bloggers are even more individualistic probably than critics used to be, because they don't have an editor kind of, generally, I mean, some of them do, but a lot of them are just like writing they do whatever they want, because they own their own, web property.
Right, there's nobody bossing them or determining the direction.
Yeah, so approaching them is a lot of times it's you try to do it in as personal a way as possible if you can. I don't know, I'm not in that scene. It would be helpful if I were. I know people who know people. Even it's a little bit of a long chain, but you do the best you can to approach them in a way that they don't find obnoxious.